What's up, everyone? How are you? Welcome to another Q&A. Welcome. Got a versus episode today. We got your questions. I'm waiting for a package to arrive. I think they're gonna send it until the evening or during the night, probably, as always. But just in case, I'll be waiting. Have the door open. Listening to some DOFL Chronicle music. Legendary battle theme. Great soundtrack. How are you guys? You finished Hector and Ellwood Stories on Blazing Sword. Great game. That's badass. That's a badass game, man. I love it. Glad the show is on. You're great. Thanks, JA. Finished Lunar 1. Playing now Lunar 2. Jumping straight into Lunar, huh? To Lunar 2, huh? That's great. You like Legaia 2? No, I played it a long time ago and I couldn't get into it. For some reason. I get that question quite often. But no. Probably because I only covered the game, like 2 times in my entire YouTube lifespan? Nope. Only played it once and I couldn't get into it. Didn't like it. Finally got a notification by YouTube. You gotta watch my content regularly to get notifications. What do you mean no data, YouTube? Stop sending these messages. There we go. Just beat the Final Fantasy 3 Pixel Remaster. Not as bad as people make it out to be. I don't know, I've never played the original. I played the Nintendo DS version and I really wanted to like it. Let's leave it at that. I really wanted to like Final Fantasy 3 Nintendo DS version, but I couldn't. Maybe I'll talk about it one day. Do you like Western RPGs that are similar to JRPGs? Yeah, the more similar to JRPGs they are, the better, actually. Right, I do like some Western RPGs. I get that question quite often as well. The Witcher 3, love it. Dragon Age, Origins and Inquisition, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Fortunately, I don't care about Western RPGs like AAA anymore. They're very political. Am I the only one bothered by the random stat gains? Were you talking about like Fire Emblem? Oh, that's a lot of people's pet peeve with the series. Even diehard lovers and fans of the series like me complain about that. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to work a character so hard, grind that character, and also that when they level up, they only gain 1 stat. +1. That's it. It's annoying and infuriating, man. So you're not the only one bothered. Like I told you, even fans of the series hate that sometimes. I do. Shadow Hearts Trilogy or Xenosaga Trilogy? Which one do you like better? Ooh, that could be a great idea for a future versus episode, but I don't think so because no one plays Shadow Hearts, unfortunately. And the games are freaking expensive. And Xenosaga, I'm always bothered by the fact that a lot of people love it, but because they only play the first game. They never touch the second game, or they know the second game is kind of bad, or they touched it and they know it's kind of bad. It isn't bad, it's actually fantastic, but I think the battle mechanics are kind of like hard to get into. And as a result, it's a very difficult game and very frustrating. Sometimes you lose for something you didn't know how to do. Anyway, and no one played Xenosaga 3. Very few copies were printed and distributed among the entirety of North America, which are 4 freaking countries. And no one played it. So only people who played all 3 games of both trilogies, like yours truly, can have the luxury of replying to that question. Sorry. Fossil Fighters, huh? I added some interesting themes and some interesting tunes from like bad JRPGs or mediocre JRPGs. Hey, we can't be too harsh on the music. Sometimes some of the worst JRPGs of all time had great soundtracks. Lagoon on the SNES, for example. Why not, right? So going back to Shadow Hearts versus Xenosaga Trilogy. So, you know what? If we treat the games separately, like Shadow Hearts 1, 2, and 3 versus Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3, all 6 games, like from worst to best, I think Xenosaga 3 is the best one. It's my favorite out of the 6 games. I love it passionately. But as a trilogy per se, you know, I think Shadow Hearts is a bit stronger because it's easier to get into. It's challenging, but not that challenging. And like in Xenosaga 2 is insanely hard, and Xenosaga 1 has some difficulty spikes. Obviously, the storytelling is far superior in the Xenosaga trilogy. It doesn't have the gothic factor or the dark, edgy factor of the Shadow Hearts series, but it does have a lot of comedy too. But Shadow Hearts has way more comedy. Plus, Shadow Hearts has one entry that's kind of like Shadow Hearts 3. You know, it's great in a lot of areas, but it's just, I don't know. It's just a comedy fest, a clown fest, to be honest. And it's a good clown fest, but it's a clown fest. And it feels very different from its predecessors. Damn, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with the Xenosaga trilogy. I think it's better. It's a bit better. But Shadow Hearts 1, 2, and then Xenosaga 3 will be my top 3 out of those 6 games. Yeah, fantastic trilogies, both of them. Very recommended. Even Shadow Hearts 3, it's still a recommended game. I've always said this, it's not a bad game. Far from being a bad game, it's actually pretty decent. So there we go. But yeah, I think Xenosaga wins. Shadow Tactics? No, I've seen the game plenty of times. Isn't that looks like a ancient samurai period in Japan, like with more realistic graphics, not anime style of graphics? Is that the same game? Because I think it is. I've seen it often for sale, but I've never picked it up or bought it digital, Is it any good? Do you recommend it? You play Skyrim? No, I don't. Jeanne d'Arc, yeah, it's on PS4 and PS5. We talked about that last week. You going to play? Probably not, unless it's like $5. Jeanne d'Arc for $10 is a decent price, but I can play the original version anytime for free. And it's not a remaster, it's just a port with upscale graphics. Right? That's it. That's all it is. And I don't care that much about the graphics to pay $10. But if I ever see it for $5, you bet your ass I'll pick it up. Digital. You can't pick up a digital game, but I'd buy it. I'll freaking buy it. But I'm glad it got ported. I was pissed off about the fact that Sony was porting some of the worst JRPGs on the PSP, like Dragon Eater's Aria and Blade Dancer. And when I saw those games, I was like, why? Why these games? There's a crap ton of excellent JRPGs on the PSP that you could port, and instead you choose to port Dragon Eater's Aria and Blade fucking Dancer. Like, what's wrong with you, Sony? What's wrong with Sony? Why are they so fucking stupid nowadays, man? But finally something intelligent happened. Jeanne d'Arc. Finally a great game. Like, I know they don't have the rights to a lot of games, right? Some of those Atlus games, Falcom games, I get it. But come on, why in the holy motherfuck will you port Blade Dancer? Before, like years before Jeanne d'Arc, something like Jeanne d'Arc. Does anyone remember Erick? I do. Fighting game with Final Fantasy VII characters. It also has an adventure mode that's extremely mediocre and forgettable. Anyway, many will argue that Chrono Cross is a bad game with a good soundtrack. Well, yeah, many will argue that Chrono Trigger is a bad game with great soundtrack too. Anybody can argue anything, Have you played Sandland? Just the demo. What's your favorite soundtrack from Shadow Tower? What a serious question, man. Finally, news of Fate Extra record on August 4. No, really? Wow. No, I gotta confirm that. You gotta be joking, right? Fate Extra, last Encore release date. Nah, I knew you were trolling. Let's go to Wikipedia. You got me. Nope. Nothing's been said. Where did you see that, man? Come on, don't troll. Don't play with my feelings like that. Come on, man. Or maybe on August 4 we'll know something. Maybe they will announce the release date on August 4. Oh man, I've been waiting for that year for 4 years, for that game for 4 years, for that release date for 4 years. You can't. That's horrible. If that's a line, you're trolling me, you're a horrible person. Only Xenosaga 2 was released in the UK. So stupid. Well, that's Namco for you. Fire Emblem should switch from random stat buffs to giving skill points to allocate. That's exactly what Rise Eterna did. Rise Eterna is a game that's inspired by various strategy RPGs, but mainly Fire Emblem, and that's what they did. Instead of leveling up, they gave you points to allocate to. That's what Rise Eterna did, so... Yeah. Have you ever tried to do reaction videos to some JRPG trailers or events? No, and I don't give a shit about that. I think I've done live streams, with reaction videos, and we've discussed news, Nintendo Direct, State of Play trailers, several times in the past in the Q&As. But making an action video like Fate Extra Last Encore reaction, nah. It's just not what I do. And nowadays I feel like it's a waste of my fucking time, man. I'm gonna do a reaction video of a game that's probably going to be politicized. No thanks. Are you a fan of playing JRPGs on handhelds, or you prefer the comfort of your couch? I prefer the comfort of my couch. Have you played Jeanne d'Arc? Yeah. What RPGs are you looking forward to coming out this year? None. There was a trailer in the RPG site. I don't know, man. I'll look it up later. I need like two more people to say the same thing you're saying to believe you. It's just hard to believe. I have yet to find a JRPG with a bad OST. Well, why don't you go and check out Virtual Highlight on the Sega Saturn? That's a terrible game in every single area. Every single area, soundtrack included. Pretty bad. The Tales of Exilia 1 and 2 remasters are a rumor. Nothing's been confirmed. Nothing at all. So, I hope it's true. If it does, people will finally watch my video and care about my video. Okay, I guess I'm looking forward to East 10, but you know what happened between Nice America and me, right? So, I still play on handhelds. I still play my 3DS, PS Vita. Well, I haven't touched the PS Vita in a long time. But on the Switch, but 99% of the time, not 99, 95% of the time I play sitting on my couch. It's just more comfortable. And I don't know, better for your eyes. So Newcoming saying that there will be new information about Fate. Oh, okay. So the game doesn't have a release date yet, but they will probably announce the release date on August 4. There will be new information about the Fate Extra remake on August 4. Thankfully, this is something they announced 4 years ago. Why will they do that? I hate it when they do that. Why do JRPG companies do that, man? Not just JRPG companies, a lot of freaking companies. Remember Shin Megami Tensei 5? How it was announced all the way back in 2016? And it was released until 2021, like 5 years later. Why announce your game so early? I just don't understand it. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with companies. And this is something that's been going on since the 90s, but it wasn't that often back then. It was just like one company out of 10 companies, right? And well, in the early 90s, people were just releasing games without announcing them. They would just promote their games on magazines, on Nintendo Power, or something like that, you know. It wasn't like 2 years before. Hey, we're going to release Secret of Mana, the new action RPG of the Mana series 2 years before. That didn't happen, man. You know, why did it get like this? Why get people hyped up, you know, for a game that's going to be released in 5, 6, 7 fucking years, man? That's just insulting. It's aggravating. I mean, and on top of it all, I don't think it's a good strategy. You know, people will forget about that. You know, it's like, oh, the Fate Extra remake. All right. Had completely forgotten about that, you know. I think for the really big games, you know, Square Enix, you know, maybe Bandai Namco, okay, I get it. People will always care, you know. But Fate Extra remake, I mean, that's a AA game. It's not a AAA game. It's not a famous studio. I mean, does it really matter that much? It's really a good idea to announce your and it's a remake. It's not even a brand new game. It's a remake, okay, of an old game on the PSP that was pretty much a hidden gem. It still kind of is a hidden gem. Like, a lot of people don't know that game. They don't care about it, you know, unfortunately. Hopefully they will care with the remake because it looks freaking badass. Hopefully it won't be full of political bullshit. Hopefully garbage mafia companies like Sweet Fucking Baby will leave it alone. But whatever the case, it's great news that we're getting some new information after 4 years. But don't freaking do that, man. That's just ridiculous. I mean, seriously, man, what's the point in announcing your game 4, 5 years before you release it? And then we can go on with this conversation. You know where it leads? Like, you finally release your game, and it's full of bugs and glitches and mistakes, and there's an update every freaking day. I've been playing a game. I got a review code for a game that was ported to consoles. It was originally released on Steam, I think about 1.5 years ago. It's a Metroidvania. But it's a Metroidvania action RPG. Very action RPG. You know how Metroidvanias have some small RPG elements, most of them, right? No, this is an action RPG. All of, you know, dialogue, character development, party members, deep customization, equipment system, leveling system, you know, experience system, stats. Yeah, it's an action RPG. It's called Frontier Hunter. Ursa's A Wheel of Fortune. That's a subtitle. Let's just leave it at Frontier Hunter. It's apparently a sequel. So, okay. This game was released on Steam, and then it got ported to consoles. Okay, and I got the PS5 version. And it will be released on consoles next week, but I got a review code. However, since I started playing this, and I've been playing this game all week, I think I started playing this on Tuesday, I think. Maybe. And it's been like 4 updates. 4 updates. Eiyuden Chronicle, I'm looking at you. You bet your ass I'm looking at you too. A lot of JRPGs, a lot of games, let alone RPGs, you know, every genre is the same nowadays. They announce the games way too early, 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they release them. And then on top of it all, to make matters worse, they don't even make sure they work properly. They release them and, oh, we'll patch them later. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with modern video games. You gotta be kidding me, right? I mean, why do that? Imagine if I, you know, hey guys, I'm going to release a new book. And I've been saying that for like 3 years, right? But I haven't written everything. But these guys have done a lot of things with their games, right? It's just, they need a lot of time to release their games. And when they release them, they're full of fucking glitches. And they need to patch them and update them. Goodbye, quality assurance. We've talked about this before. Let's move on. Quality assurance doesn't exist anymore. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, that's another... Like, what the fuck, man? Yeah, this makes me angry, as you can see. Namco doesn't really care about remasters. I'm not sure how will if the Tales of Exilia 1 and 2 remasters are true, which I doubt, they will probably share the same fate as Symphonia. They will have frame rate issues, performance issues. I can guarantee that because they don't give a fuck. Do you find it hard to play RPGs as you get older and have less time? No, okay. I do have less time because I'm an adult, I have a job to do. But fortunately, playing RPGs is my job. So, the answer to your question is no. Do you think there could be other YouTubers that see you as competition reporting you with game companies so they don't send you review codes? I don't know. Some fucking assholes could be out there telling them, hey, Erick Landon is a politically incorrect person. And, he's a blah, 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 blah. All of those names they call us nowadays. It could be, right? But these companies are making a decision. And it's still their fault. Even if some fucking loser, ratted me out with these companies, they shouldn't care. Because all I'm doing is receiving a game, playing it, and advertising it. Whether I like it or not, whether I trash it or not, people are still gonna watch that video, are gonna watch the review, or, and will probably buy it and have their own opinion about it. I'm advertising their game, so it shouldn't matter. So if YouTubers are doing that, fuck them, but the real damage is coming from the companies. Because the companies should ignore them. They should be like, I don't give a shit about Erick's anti-political views, He's a reviewer, this is a business, and it should be like that. But no, nowadays they discriminate you for thinking differently. For having an opinion, or a very strong opinion. I know I'm a hardcore motherfucker when it comes to opinions. I know that. I can be very harsh, but even if I go out and trash it, like Cry Machina, I got a review code for Cry Machina last year. And all I did during the second half of the review was trash it. And the video got like 20-something thousand views, 20 to 22,000 views. So imagine how many people watched the video. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people bought the game despite me trashing it, right? So it shouldn't matter what kind of political views you have or what kind of if you like politics or you hate politics or what kind of person you are, it shouldn't matter. Unless you're a criminal, right? That's the problem, these people treat everybody who disagrees with them as criminals. They want to kill us, every single one of us. So yeah, if any YouTubers are doing that, well, fuck them, They're fucking idiots as always, And I don't think they see me as competition. Not anymore, especially not anymore. No, speaking about Sweet Baby, maybe Sweet Baby knows who I am, contacted all these companies and told them not to send me review codes. Do you have a physical copy of Grand Blue Fantasy Relink? No. I did get a review code for that game in January of this year. Because I reached out to them. They didn't reach out to them. I asked them for a review code. I reached out to them. But now I don't have it physical. It's really expensive. It hasn't come down in price. Even nowadays, it's one of those games, man. It'll take years for it to drop in price here in Mexico. Metroid, Who's publishing Arm Fantasia? I heard some time ago, several streams ago, that Penny Blood is currently struggling to get a publisher, but Armed Fantasia has a publisher. Do you guys know who will be publishing Armed Fantasia next year? For those who don't know, that's the spiritual successor of Wild Arms, developed by some of the guys who work on the original Wild Arms games. And it was announced as a Kickstarter 3 years ago, alongside Penny Blood. I'm surprised, they seem to be like working. Obviously, they were two different teams working separately on different games, but the Kickstarter was announced at the same time, simultaneous, so you think they will have the same publisher, right? But nowadays I heard, that Penny Blood is struggling with finding a publisher, whereas Arm Fantasia already has a publisher. Is that true? Wild Bunch Production? That's the publisher of Arm Fantasia? Who the hell are those guys? Let me look it up. Wild Bunch. It's a European. From France. What a wild bunch they are. Arm Fantasia publisher. Wild bunch. It looks like Wild Bunch Productions are the publisher. Wow, man, I've never heard of those guys. Thank you, Newcomb Oil. He says, your Cry Machina review inspired me to not get it. I don't recommend Cry Machina. I finished the game. I did like it. You know my philosophy. I don't finish games I don't like. So I did like Cry Machina, but it's just something I can't recommend. And somebody was asking about Cry Machina versus Crystar. Crystar is a much better game. In almost every area, man. Well, obviously there's better fan service in Cry Machina. Obviously. But in everything else, Cry Machina is a better game. Even in music is like it's a tie between both of them. But yeah. Like Crystar in a scale from 1 to 10, probably an 8. Yeah, 8. Will you buy the new Saturn Flash card? It's really good and cheap, and I'm waiting for you to cover Saturn RPGs. I don't tend to cover a lot of Saturn RPGs because most people don't give a damn about them. And when I start talking about them, they just skip them. They skim through the video to get to the next game, I'm not gonna read your comment, JCartan7. Hope I pronounced that correctly. But let's just say that we're in the middle of a war, right? So obviously everything's magnified nowadays to be extremely annoying from all sides, right? And it's not gonna stop until someone emerges victorious in this war. But we are in the middle of a war. The time to sit down and talk things out is long over. There's been a lot of damage from one side. And, yeah. Can't find anything on Wild Bunch Productions? Come on, I'm pretty sure you can. I did. They have a Wikipedia article, a Wikipedia article. Anyway, so thank you, Yum. I bought an HDMI to RCA adapter and plugged my Switch on my 13-inch CRT TV. It's great playing all games on the library in a CRT screen. What exactly are you doing? Are you playing the Switch online? Like the emulators on NES, SNES, 64, on a CRT, and they look great? I mean, okay, let me read your comment again. I bought an HDMI RCA. That's what you did, right? Oh, you're playing Xenoblade, you're playing actual games. So, okay, you bought an HDMI cable. You plug that cable to a CRT, and you're playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and it looks great. Xenoblade Chronicles, 3 maybe? Okay, that's weird. That was too low. This music is from a way shuffled dungeon. That's crazy, Yum Yum. But I'm glad you're having fun. I'm glad the game looks great in a CRT. That was a crazy experiment. Paul Kinder, really? I was just talking about that like 2 minutes ago. What's your opinion about Kumitsugami? Oh, okay. So, I'm very concerned about that game. I played the demo and I liked it, but you know, there's this character who's being treated as a girl, as a woman, and her name is Yoshiro. And Yoshiro is a male name, okay? And if you look at the game and you take a closer look to this Yoshiro character, well, teats are nowhere to be found. Like, you can't find the boobs, man. And it's this is a Capcom game, and I do not trust Capcom, because like everybody else, like most companies out there, you know, they're a bunch of woke fucking idiots. So I don't know, man. It made me very uncomfortable not knowing that this character's name is Yoshiro, and the character is very flat. I don't know, man. Very mixed feelings about that game and that. Like, why will they call this character Yoshiro? And it's supposed to be a woman, you know? I mean, that just makes me uncomfortable. Will you say that the Final Fantasy games have better graphics than the Mega Tensei games? Or will you say that they simply have different art styles, but both are good? Well, they have different art styles. That shouldn't even be a question. That's obvious. They have different styles and art style, you know? Different styles, different graphic engines. They're very different. And in terms of technicalities, you know, obviously the Square Enix graphics look way more advanced than anything from Shin Megami Tensei or Persona, right? But it's a matter of style, it's a matter of visual style, which one do you like more? But technically speaking, you know, the Final Fantasy graphics are superior, but because they are, you know, more advanced, more expensive, there's more money, and that's it, you know. But you bet your ass I like how any SMT or any Persona game looks than any other modern Final Fantasy game out there. What's this week's versus? We got 2 legendary strategy RPGs, but we'll get to that at the end of the stream. Yeah, we're doing a strategy RPG one for once. I know most of you don't care about tactical RPGs, but these two are two of the most famous. Didn't get a review code for Daybreak. That's why I didn't do a review for Trails Through Daybreak. You play Eternal Darkness or the Famicom Detective games. What are your thoughts? Eternal Darkness was a great game, but I didn't like the idea that you control the girl and then like an hour later you switch to another character and then to another character and so on and back and forth, and I just know. For certain types of video games that was a great idea, but for a survival horror game, okay, it was still a great idea, I just couldn't get into it. I wish I could have been the girl like the entire game. That would have been better for me. I just didn't care about going back to the past and controlling this kind of weird character, you know, fighting with a lance and with a sword, and I was like, what the hell? I mean, yes, sure, it's original, unique, and that's what makes Eternal Darkness great, but for some reason that just threw me off, man. So I wasn't the biggest fan of Eternal Darkness. And Famicom Detective games, I have no idea what that is. Eric, do you collect video game models, figures? No, I don't. Fire Emblem and Advance Wars? No. I don't have a lot of Fire Emblem fans. I have a lot of older Fire Emblem fans like me, like fans of the old Fire Emblem fans, but most fans are from the modern ones that I've criticized, and therefore I developed this reputation. You know people nowadays, right? You bitch about something and they magnify it. Gematsu says Wild Bunch Productions is a video game developer headquartered in Shinjuku, Tokyo. It was founded in June 10, 2022. Okay. You should do a versus with Kemco games. Why do you think American and Western companies are trying to force Asian developers to put wokeness in their games? We talked about this before. This is the American government. This is Biden's administration doing that. So it comes straight from the big top. It's not just a few companies, it's a government. And there's a mafia. And there's a lot of shareholders that are freaking billionaire and are forcing a lot of companies to do this because the United States of America's government allows that. The end. Fire Emblem versus Advance Wars will be a blowout? Yeah. I'll consider it, but it's not today's episode. We play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Nope, just the demo. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Advance Wars. As a gamer YouTuber, how do you make extra money outside of from this platform? From anywhere I can. Anywhere I can outside of these platforms, of this Twitch. Subscribe to my Twitch channel, everybody. Link in the description to my Twitch channel. Patreon, there's Patreon. You want to support me? I got a link to my Patreon page, and you get a lot of benefits. You get an exclusive podcast that no one else can listen to except people who join the Patreon page. And you are supporting a lot of my Patreon, my podcast, and my projects. You're supporting that JRPG podcast, which is something that should also be exclusive to Patreon, but it isn't. And then there's Amazon. You can buy my books. Link also to my books in the description. You can buy all of my books, digital or physical. They're printed. Several days ago, I celebrated the 10th anniversary of Terra Gaiden and the Revenant Army. I'm dying here. Wait a minute. God damn. So, Terra Gaiden and the Revenant Army, 10th anniversary. Terra Gaiden was written exactly 10 and a half years ago. And then the Revenant Army was written exactly 10 years ago. A little bit more. And it was in Spanish, but I translated the book to English a year and a half ago. So to make it even less confusing, just take a read. Go and read my blog. Link to my blog in the description. You can click on it and there's a brief story in a nutshell, a long story short version of Terra Gaiden and the Revenant Army. These are two books that are inspired by JRPGs. Fire Emblem, Suikoden, series like that. But they're very original, they're my own thing. They aren't ripoffs or anything, they're just my own stories, my own characters. There's some dark fantasy involved in some of them. Some edgy moments. Anybody can read them. These aren't like Nick's Inferno, like it's mature and only adults can read it. No, you can just, if you're a 12-year-old, you got any 12-year-old kids, they can read the books fine, no problem. You will find them in Amazon, printed. You can own them and touch them and caress them. And you can also buy them digital for like $3. All of my books are $3 digital. For your ebook platforms, Kindle platforms or whatever. So there we go. 10th anniversary, 10 years of those two books. Wow, I can't believe it's 10 years. I'm old as fuck. How hot is it in Mexico right now? Not too much. Well, I don't know. I live in Guadalajara, so it's a very different weather from other parts of Mexico. Remember, this is a hot country. This is a whole country. It's a big country, so right now it isn't hot. Maybe if you go outside during the afternoon, but not really because it's rainy season and it's been fresh, not cold but not hot, just normal, cool, for the past couple of weeks. Anyway, so Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre, we'll see. Final Fantasy Tactics beats, man. It's just a really, really, really popular game. I don't think I can ever have Final Fantasy Tactics competing against something. I mean, it will always win. It's always gonna win no matter what. Everybody loves that game. Have you tried reading AI-generated fantasy books? No. I hate anything artistic or pseudo-artistic created by AI isn't artistic whatsoever, so no. I don't think so, multimedia assassin. I don't think so. I think the industry will still thrive no matter the region. I mean, there's a crap ton of indie games nowadays from all over the world. Those will keep thriving. And the gaming industry, I mean, the future of the gaming industry is just that, you know, it will continue to evolve. But everybody in the world is still gonna make video games, you know, Asian, Western, European, South American, African maybe one day, I don't know. That sucks, Donsk. And I'm guessing if you buy them in Mexico, the taxes and the import fees are gonna be like really high, right? That sucks. Nothing I can do about that, man. It's Amazon, it's their rules. Fuck Amazon, I know that, man, but I don't know why they don't have any headquarters in El Salvador. They probably do for regular things, you know. I just don't know why. A lot of us writers, you know, maybe they don't have a printing house, you know. They do have printing houses in a lot of countries, just not in all of them. That's gotta be it. That's why my books aren't available in a lot of countries, because they just don't have a printing house there. They do ship there, you know, but they don't have a printing house there. And if they print the book in the United States or in Mexico, and they're still gonna have to send it to you, and that costs money. So yeah. Amazon, one of the richest companies in the world, and you can't have a printing house in every fucking country. You gotta shit. Have you ever been to any of the other South American countries? Nope. I've only been in, obviously, Mexico, Canada, Germany, and England. That's it. This guy, you went off the Q&A just to listen to the virtual highlight soundtrack? You couldn't resist? I can't believe you did that, man. Well, glad to know that we're on the same page. It isn't great. It's a bad soundtrack. Oh man, do you have any idea? Do you have an idea when we get the timeline again where RPG devs are going to focus more on story and depth of the game instead of pure graphics? I don't know, man. I think there's still a lot of RPG developers that focus on the story and the depth of the game. You just have to find them. Stop looking at the surface. This is a good channel to do that. You know, there's a crap ton of recommendations in this channel about games that focus on story and depth and whatnot, you know, over the graphics. Opinion of Hoshigami. It's bad. Between Kingdom Hearts and Fire Emblem Engage, which story made you cringe the most? Fire Emblem Engage. Kingdom Hearts has always been childish since the start and kind of aimed at kids, teenagers, you know. So I knew what I was getting into, but Fire Emblem Engage is not a series aimed at kids, and they made this one aimed at kids or at stupid people, you know. So Fire Emblem Engage is by far the worst story and makes every single plot in every Kingdom Hearts game look like a masterpiece. Like, Fire Emblem Engage is one of the worst stories I've seen in my life in any video game whatsoever, man. It's insulting. I know that, Roberto. Well, interestingly enough, Microsoft fired a TI team this week. Or was it last week? Interesting enough, right? Interestingly enough. It's a mafia, man. It's a mafia. You haven't missed anything, Brian. Does Time and Eternity have some interesting soundtracks? Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's gotta be a couple of songs that are okay, at least, you know? What are your opinions on Riviera the Promised Land? The remaster came out. What's my opinion on Riviera the Promised Land? The remaster came out recently. Haven't played the remaster. I played the original version, especially the PSP version. Never made it that far. It's a really good game, but to be completely honest, it's kind of hard to get into. I didn't like the mechanics of the weapon system and how you gotta choose your equipment before every single battle. That was kind of heavy. But it also adds a lot of strategy to the game and a lot of depth to the game. So it's a really interesting game, but you gotta be patient. You gotta play it with an open mind, and you gotta stick to it. You know, it's not your average. It's far from your average RPG traditional style. It's really freaking weird in terms of gameplay mechanics. Very unique, like everything, like mostly everything from these guys, Sting Entertainment, the developers. But I think it's a great game. It's just very hard to get into. I haven't played the remaster though. I am Setsuna versus Lost Sphere versus Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. Shouldn't you mean versus Oninaki? Those are the 3 Tokyo RPG Factory games. They didn't develop Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. Have you ever thought about adapting JRPGs into novels? I've thought about turning my books into JRPGs, but not the other way around. Thanks again, Yum Yum. If you're looking for RPGs that are underrated and more hidden gems and games will go up in price, watch and support Erick Landon RPGs videos. That's right. You should do that, everybody. Check out this music. This is Lagoon. I told you, some of the worst JRPGs of all time can have great music. This is one of them. Pretty cool song, right? Treasure of the Rudras had a different magic system too. Yeah, but Treasure of the Rudras is nowhere... Are you comparing it to Riviera? Because Treasure of the Rudras, you know, it's like... nowhere near as complicated as, or complex as Riviera. Newcomb, have you ever played Sayuki Journey West? Yes, I have. I don't talk about that game too often as I wish. Never finished it though. It's a good game on the PS1. I think it's also on PS3, digital, PS Vita. You know, it's a good game. It just has some nasty spikes and nasty maps that are like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? You know, and you kind of need a guide, and it's kind of weird. You know, but it's a good game. I'm a big fan of Tearing Saga. Burnweek Saga, I haven't played it. Tearing Saga, I have played it and I love it. Bahamut Lagoon, I fucking loved it. Can't wait to talk about that game. I just haven't found the proper video. The right video, you know, I'll talk about it soon. I really liked Bahamut Lagoon. Really. Oninaki is a great game. It's a bit better than Sakuna. I love Sakuna, but I think Oninaki is the better game. You guys, Ocean's second story are from Prime Day. I couldn't find a single deal on Prime Day for me. And I tried. I was like, nope. Nothing interesting. Nothing to do here. Nothing to buy. I mean, there were a lot of offers, you know, a lot of great deals, but of games that I already have in my collection. I was like, great. I bet your ass I loved Sima the Enemy. What a masterpiece. Best JRPG in the Game Boy Advance. Fucking loved it. Which Dragon Quest game would you recommend to start? I answered that question last stream. My picks were 5 and 11, yeah. Right? Yeah, I agree with that. Do you buy platformers? Not usually. I do buy them every now and then digital when they're dirt cheap, but I don't collect them. But I do have a lot of them in my collection, but not too many. I don't have Mario Odyssey or Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Star Ocean 2 can be broken easily. Yeah, everything is in favor of the player. The game plays itself. If you can get to the point where it plays itself. But you still gonna have to grind. How would you feel if a lot of these Sweet Baby Inc. games were rebooted with all the wokeness taken out? Oh, I will feel awesome. That will be the day, man. That will be a celebration day. I will scream my guts out in excitement if that ever happened. Prime Days was underwhelming indeed. I was hoping for a Yuden Chronicles, but no. Me too! I do have a Yuden Chronicle digital, but I don't have it physical and I want to own it, right? But I'm just gonna keep waiting for the price to drop a lot. Arno Surge? Is this Arno Surge? Fantastic game, man. That's too loud though. Arno Search is one of those games that start kind of slow. At the beginning, the first 3, 4, 5 hours even, you're like, when is it going to get good? Or it gets good. It gets good. Too bad it's a really expensive game. It was remastered on Switch, but we never got the version. I don't know why. Probably because it's such an obscure game and no company wanted to pick it up. Miss America didn't want to pick it up. Probably because the Arno Search is owned by Koei Tecmo. In the first 3 Art on Helico games are owned by Nis America. So what's going on there, Nis America? Oh, maybe I see what's going on now. Nis America is a WoW company now. So since Art on Helico 1, 2, and 3 are very sexy and they have a lot of political incorrectness, they will probably never localizing. I mean, release them on port them to Switch or whatever, you know. But Arno Search is owned by Koei Tecmo. And those guys definitely aren't known for remastering or porting anything. But they did release Arno Search and Shield No Search, the visual novel that never came out of Japan, on the Switch. Nobody gave a fuck. Other than Plants vs. Zombies, are you playing any other genre to prevent RPGs burnout? Yes, every now and then. I've been saying this for weeks, months even, that environmental puzzles have become my second favorite video game genre of all time. So I got some games for dirt cheap that I would like to stream on Twitch maybe next week. Be sure to be there. Subscribe to my Twitch channel or follow me on Twitch. One of them is called Reflection of Mine, which is extremely hard. One of the hardest video games I've played in my life. But that's not, well, it is in 2D, but it's like from like top-down view. And I got this game called Degrees of Separation, which is meant to be played by 2 players. Playing it by yourself, it makes everything much harder, you know, but it's still a really fun game. Kind of frustrating because puzzles, you know, but I'm loving it. And I also got Dreaming Sarah. Anyway, so I haven't gotten far into that game. I only played it for like 40 minutes, so. Whereas in Degrees of Separation, I think I've put already like 10 hours. It's a long game. I only have like 1 or 2 hours in Reflection of Mine. It's just so fucking hard, man. So freaking hard. And I recently, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago or so, I finished Yakuza Kiwami, which isn't exactly an RPG, but I reviewed the game in my last 5 RPGs I need to talk about video. It was there. And then I got Tormented Souls, which is a survival horror game. I beat it like 2-3 weeks ago. Fucking loved it. It unfortunately didn't revive my love for survival horror games. I was like, man, this is gonna be it. I'm gonna be playing all those Resident Evil games or all those survival horror games, you know, but nope. I finished the game and I loved it, but I was ready to move on to another genre. I just don't love survival horror games as much as I did back in the day. I still love the genre, but not as much. It's not like I was gonna be like, oh man, finally, you know, my die-hard love for this genre has been revived thanks to Tormented Souls. No, it should have, but no. I love it though. Tormented Souls, that's a game I do strongly recommend everybody. One of these days I want to make a video. I haven't done one of those videos in a long time. A top 10 with games that are not RPGs, you know. I know no one cares, you know, but just for fun, I'll probably make it. Do you believe YouTubers make game prices go up? Or is it just speculation? Resellers make prices go up, not us. You know, because this is something that's been happening since long before YouTube existed. Whenever a journalist or a reviewer praises something, people are going to naturally... It's like a movie. Movie reviews. Check out movie reviews from like 50 years ago, man, 60 years ago, maybe 100 years ago. And if somebody went out and said, you know, like a reviewer, like a TV personality or someone, you know, hey, this movie is fantastic, you know, people are going to go and see it. So... if the theater increases the prices of the movie, that's never happened before, but you know, whose fault it is? So it's not us. I can recommend games, but I'm not raising the prices. I'm not secretly colluding with, you know, with the resellers and scalpers and telling them, hey, I'm gonna talk about this game next, so you better increase the price, right? No. They increase the price because it's the demand, offer and demand, capitalist economy that's been there since many, many, many decades ago. Okay, I think resellers and scalpers, merely a lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them do take advantage of YouTube videos and social media recommendations, but we have nothing to do with it, you know. We're not increasing prices, and prices don't go up because of us. They go because they fucking want to, because the resellers increase the price, and that's it. Magna Carta, I streamed that game a long time ago. I'm working on it, you know, making public all of my old streams. Everything from like, I don't know, November? No. A big chunk of 2020 and onward, you know, until today is public. All of my streams, all of my live streams. Magna Carta is possibly an older stream. Yeah, it's Probably. I don't remember when I streamed the game, but it's probably unlisted, so I'm working on it. That's why you probably can't find it. But it's on the playlist. Go to the playlist section of my channel, and every single live stream I've done in my whole life, you know, is there in that playlist. Whether it's public or unlisted, but it's gotta be there. It's watchable. You can watch it. You can find it in the playlist. If you look it up, you know, on YouTube, you're not gonna find it. Probably. You love Tormented Souls because of the first scene when the MC woke up in the bathtub showing her tits. I love the game because it's fucking fantastic, but yeah, that's one of the reasons, I'm not gonna lie. The girl is very good looking. You know, Pete Dore does that. They speculate with game prices, but you can't blame us YouTubers for... We're not increasing prices, you know. Unless Pete Dore or YouTubers like that are resellers themselves, right? But I don't know. Maybe like, oh, you know, this game is going to go up in price and here's a link so you can buy it from me, from my store. I don't know if they do that. Random tier list ready. You want to do that again? You want to do another 10 random RPGs ranked from worst to best on a tier list? We did that last week. Well, let me know if you want another one. I didn't prepare one for today. Which Tales game would you love a remaster of? Legendia. Me too, Legendia definitely. But I'm starving for Rebirth and Destiny 2. What's your opinion on the Alliance Alive? I think it's a great game. Any version. The remaster is a great version to go for nowadays, but they're all expensive. Every single version of that game is expensive, unfortunately. But it's a really good game, man. Alliance Alive. Really do recommend it. Magna Carta is a bit slow. It's a bit slow, man. I have been retro gaming for a long time and I can say prices went up before YouTube. Yeah, but not all of them. A lot of them. I don't understand your question, Yum Yum. I don't answer questions about RPG channels. You know that. People accuse RPGs of being too grindy just because they want to roll over every fight effortlessly. A game isn't grindy just because it makes you actually engage with the mechanics and put in effort. Well, yeah. Will you do a random tier list this stream? You guys want a random tier list like the one we did last time? I don't know. We can do that again if you want to. Have you ever heard of a Witch's Tale game for the Nintendo DS? Yes, I have. That is the only decent RPG developed by company Hitmaker, because their other games are pretty damn bad. There's Dragon Eater's Aria, which is bad. Blade Dancer is bad. Last Rebellion is bad. So a Witch's Tale might be the only kind of decent game, but it's not great, to be honest. I love the concept, I love the music, the art style, the personality, you know. It's kind of this Gaia-ish. I love that, but it got too tiresome after like a couple of hours, you know. It was like, man, it's just the gameplay is not that fun in the game. It's kind of boring. And the battles take forever. A random battle may take like, I don't know, several minutes, man. It's just... No. Do I recommend it though? That's my answer. No worries, Paul Kinder, but that happened like half an hour ago. Do you think a majority of video games need super advanced, realistic graphics, or should there be a push to not hyper-focus on that anymore? Companies should do whatever the fuck they want. Let them be. If they want to do like incredible graphics, let them. If they don't, let them. I think people paid way too much attention about graphics nowadays. Do you think that omnipotence is possible for a fictional character? Personally, I think that they are not, because it doesn't matter how powerful they are. They will always be limited to the writer. What? How do you... I don't know, man. How do you get through your backlog? What's your method? Do you drop games at a certain hour? Do you play multiple games at once? You know, a long time ago I made a video called How to Deal with Your Backlog. Be sure to check it out because my feelings haven't changed, and I will only be repeating myself with that video. I wish they can make a second one. Sure. Mina, you really liked A Witch's Tale? It was my childhood game. Wow. What can I say? I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it isn't bad. It's not a bad game. Nostalgia plays a big factor in people deciding which games are good or bad when they play it with it. You know, for example, I'm a big fan of Skate or Die on the NES. It's not an RPG, right? But everybody hates the game. Everybody trashes on it. Everybody craps on it. You know, it's universally known as a bad game. I don't care. I love it. I love Skate or Die. I grew up with it. It was my childhood. Skate or Die. Up there with the Excite Bike and Super Mario Brothers 1 and 3. You know, I didn't get into the second one till later. But those were my childhood games. And I loved Skate or Die. And I played the heck out of it. I don't care if it's bad. So you shouldn't care about my opinion on A Witch's Tale. If you love it, then you love it, and that's it. How often, if at all, do you use a guide for your games? Never. What I do is, like, whenever I get stuck, then I look up a guide. But I look up how to get unstuck in there. Like, okay, there's, like, for example, I was playing this morning the game I told you guys about that I got a review code for, Frontier Hunter. And I couldn't find a specific item that I needed to open a door. And hard as I tried, I couldn't find it. And I was like... Yeah, I grabbed my phone and like, how to find the blue emblem. And then somebody said, you know, it's on the right screen. They didn't give any specifics, you know, this person. I was like, on the right side of the map. Fuck you, asshole. Why couldn't you be more specific? Well, yeah, I went to the right side of the map. and I found the damn item. So that's what I use guide for, is like to find that one thing that I'm missing that I can't find for myself, or yeah. But like playing a game alongside a guide, I don't think I ever done that in my whole life. Maybe, I mean, I've done that for the Suikoden games to know where to recruit every single character. But it's not like, oh, what do I do in this battle, or where do I go next? No, I don't do that. I just have the recruitment guide. I did the same with the Yuden Chronicle, the recruitment guide, just not the walkthrough. Like the game guide, I've never used one, never. But I do that, if you're asking me how often do I check up a guide to solve that one puzzle or to find that one item, I'd say about, and this is with every genre, it isn't just with RPGs, I'd say about 30-40% of the time, probably, 4 out of 10 times, 3 out of 10 times maybe, most games I can figure out for myself where is everything and how to solve everything, or how to pass through this gate or open this door or whatever, getting from point A to point B. I think I can figure it out for myself, no problem. Do you think Fire Emblem Path of Radiance is the best game in this series? Yes, I do. It's a masterpiece. It's the one that got me into the series. Fucking love it. I beaten that game 3 times, and those 3 times were a blast. I think it's a masterpiece. Blazing Sword is a close second. Blazing Blade, Blazing Sword, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Very close second, Those are the 2 best Fire Emblem games of all time. But yeah, Path of Radiance to me is the best one of them all. If you had to pick which company would you like to adapt your books into RPGs, which company would you be? None, because, they're all fucking political and threatened or blackmailed by the mafia. So, no companies, man. I will do it independently. Fuck companies. I played Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 while listening to Rattlesnake Town from the album. What? Okay, dude. Good. Oh, man. Buying a guide for an old JRPG was a standard. For some of them. Some of them you couldn't get anywhere without a guide. Phantasy Star 2. Holy crap, right? Phantasy Star 2 on the Sega Genesis, that was bonkers. Ridiculous. It's almost impossible to beat without a guide. What's your country of birth? I love your English accent. I'm from Mexico. I do have a Mexican accent. A lot of people tell me that I don't, but I do. I do. A lot of words, I can't help it. I pronounce them the same way every fucking Mexican does. But yeah, I have a Mexican accent. Is there a possibility that Radiant Dawn will be ported to the Switch? No, Path of Radiance will have to be ported first. Nintendo knows that. The Princess Guide? The OST. Haven't talked about this game in a long time because I ditched it. Moved on to other games. I'll go back to it one of these days. Maybe do another episode of surprisingly good JRPGs. But I'm not sure how many views it got to merit a sequel. I'm currently reading Terra Gaiden. I picked up all of your books in English physically. Wow, that's awesome. Hope you enjoyed Terra Gaiden. I just celebrated the 10th anniversary alongside the Revenant Army. Yeah, Terra Gaiden, I'm very fond of that game. I still have a box full of like 30-40 copies of it here that never sold. Because this is Mexico, most people don't read in English. Yeah. Man, hope you enjoyed the book. Have you ever played the Legacy of Kain series? I think you will like them. I have played them. But I couldn't get into them back when I first played them. But that was like 15 years ago at the very least. One of these days I'll go back to them. I just didn't really enjoy the gameplay mechanics and the 3D platforming and the moving around in 3D. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. But love to go back to this series one day and give it a second chance. Or a real chance. I don't feel like I ever gave the series a real chance, Henceforth, I have no strong opinion on the series. You should do voice work for fantasy audiobooks, Erick. Really? Despite my accent? People are now... What? What are you trying to say, Yum Yum? You want me to make a PS4 Switch videos again? Anybody play Dark Cloud? I did. Couldn't get into it, and I made it far. Probably put like at least like 6 or 7 hours in Dark Cloud, the first one, and no, it's a good game though. I do recommend it, but I couldn't get into it. How did you learn English? Moving to an English-speaking country or English-speaking media. I learned English when I was like 11 years old because I wanted to know what the lyrics of my favorite bands said or meant. And then I started watching movies with English subtitles. And then I started practicing, every now and then I will talk to someone, but it was rare. And that's it, just by practicing, man. Practicing, I don't know, I think languages are easy on me. Maybe I should learn another language. But I think I've gotten too old for that. That's how I learn English. How would you feel if there were theme park rides based on Final Fantasy? I wouldn't give a shit because I don't like park rides or park themes. I never go there. Too much people, man, and I get crowd phobia? Is that the term? Like if I can get on a bus, or a train, or the metro, or the subway, something like that, crowded. It's uncomfortable, but I for some reason I can stand it, but going to places like that, it's just too many people, and there's always like different types of music. It's a lot of noise. Different types of music anywhere, it's like a flea market, like a Mexican flea market. You go and there's a different fucking genre. Well, most idiots put the same fucking horrible music no matter where you go. Well, it's like several different songs, being played at the same time. Theme parks are like that, And knucklephobia. Oh, thanks, Yum Yum. Fear of crowds. Yeah, I'm a bit like that. I've never been to a live show in my whole life. I've never seen 9 Inch Nails live. Or The Cure, Never been to a live show my whole life, because of the same thing. But I will one day. I gotta do it. If 9 Inch Nails ever comes back to Guadalajara, I'll find a way to go. I have to. Have to see them live at least once. All the other bands can kiss my ass. What is your all-time favorite 3DS RPG? Devil Survivor Overclocked. How often do you speak English? Then, Eric, outside of your YouTube videos and these live streams, do you speak it much? No. All of my social life is in Spanish. My family, my friends, my best friends. They do speak English and I do talk to them in English, but it's rare. We talk in Spanish. Yeah. But I do... most of the time I'm speaking English because I'm also a streamer. I do these Q&As, but I also stream games weekly. And I talk on Discord and I've done that before, I know I don't have any social media nowadays, but... so most of the time I'm speaking English or writing in English. Anyway, you guys really want to do that tier list again? Another one of those? Really? Like, I don't mind. I'd love to do that. I love to do one, but I don't know. What's my second favorite genre of video games? Environmental puzzles. Like Little Nightmares, Limbo, Inside. Love it. And fighting games will be a third favorite video game genre. Fighting games. I love beat 'em ups as well, platformers, survival horror games. Not so much anymore, but still. Will you consider Sonic Chronicles a JRPG since it has a character created in Japan but developed by BioWare? No, it's not a JRPG, it's a Western RPG and it's bad. Well, wait. Sonic Chronicles? No. Are you referring to the Nintendo DS game, or is that like... Didn't it have a different name? Sonic the Dark Hood? Dark Brotherhood or something? Is that the same name you're referring to? 'Cause that's a terrible game. And it's an RPG. Yes, that game. Okay, so no, it's fucking bad. Forget about it. Is it a JRPG or not? It's a bad game. Forget about it. But I don't consider... I think it's a Western RPG. Are you half American, half Canadian, half British because of your last name? No, this isn't my real last name. I am half German, half French, half Spanish, half Mexican. How's that? I'm not kidding. My great grandparents were German. They came here and gave birth to my grandfather, and then my grandfather was born, So, and then like 8 out of 10 Mexicans, I have Spanish roots for obvious reasons. But from my father's side, my great grandparents were French. So yeah. But I think, those are like ancient a very ancient heritage, But German is kind of like closest. Which is your favorite fighting game series? Blaze Blue. What's your favorite modern fighting game? I think the most modern that I played and loved is Guilty Gear Xrd. I got a Revolution version. Revelator? Is it Revelator? I think it's Revelator. Really like that one. I played Strive, which is the last one, right? Guilty Gear Strive. I liked it, but I don't know, for some reason it felt different. It's one of my least favorites that I played, Strive. But Xrd was a fantastic game. I fucking loved it. It's not that modern though. I think it came out like 6 years ago, maybe. Final Fantasy last boss fight tier list? That will be a lot of spoilers. Can you recommend any good dark and edgy RPGs, not counting Drakengard, Type 0, Code Vein? I've done videos on that. They're called Darkest JRPGs Ever Made, or Mature Rated RPGs, Mature Rated Hidden Gems. There we go. Thank you, Gianni Low. I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Have you been to the Yucatan Peninsula? Nope, never. Wait! I've been to Cancun, but only in a hotel, because I took a flight the next day to England. But, I didn't visit the city. I just arrived at the airport, took a cab to the hotel, slept, woke up, took a cab to the airport and left. That was my whole stance, and vice versa when I came back. Didn't really visit the city or anything, I don't like Cancun. It's just too hot, and I don't know. How would you rank the East series? I have a video on that. East ranked from worst to best, though East 9 is not gonna be there because my video was done before East 9 was localized. But East 9 will probably be my first place, second place, up there with 8. So you are more into 2D fighters? Yes, I am. You could rank the best, hardest JRPGs. We already did that, actually. Well, something similar, We did a top 25 hardest, great, but hardest JRPGs that we recommend, me and the fans, in a Q&A. We did this video on December of last year, and it got turned into a video. How would you feel if a lot of Western RPGs were spun off into JRPGs? How do you do that? They're still Western RPGs. A bunch of Japanese developers will need to do them. Or you're asking me if I don't know a Japanese RPG based on The Witcher? Or something like that? Or Dragon Age, is that what you're asking? Because that already happened, with Wizardry. The Wizardry series initially in the early 80s were Western RPGs, and then the team stopped doing them, and Japan picked them up, and continued the legacy and continued developing JRPGs based on Wizardry. So that already happened. It's just, But yeah, I'd like to see a JRPG version of The Witcher. That will be bonkers, to be honest. Bonkers. It would probably be a lot of, The Witcher 3 already has a bunch of waifus. I don't know, I never got into the original Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. For some reason, I couldn't get into it. But now that I got into the Switch version, maybe one day I can go back to the original Wii version and beat it. But what's the point? I'd rather just play the definitive edition a second time. So, what RPG do you actually prefer to play on hardest mode versus easy or normal? Nothing, man. I don't see the point on playing games on hard. I play everything on normal. Mostly everything. If I can't take it, then I change to easy, but I play everything on normal. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. Riviera, the Promised Land. Really? That's a really outdated statement. I guess you do get a lot of people, our parents, who say that, that you're 28 and they tell you stop playing games because games are for kids. People like me who grew up in the 80s and 90s, we grew up with that mentality, When you were like 12 or 13, even some of your classmates made fun of you for playing video games. They never made fun of me, thankfully, because they all play video games too. But yeah, I think my brother went through that. Like, he didn't want to play video games anymore because they were seen as something for kids, like something immature, like that you needed to grow out of. But nowadays, video games have become so accepted worldwide that I find it surprising that there are still people who give you shit because of that. That's just crazy, man. How do you deal with these kind of comments? I just don't. Like I was saying, it's just I never did. I never went through that personally. But you should just ignore them, I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Video games are like probably the second biggest entertainment out there, apart from movies or shows, It's just, social media is the first one, and then video games, and then movies and music. Well, music is kind of decreasing the past few years, but, come on. Tell them that. Do you work and have your own income? If yes, you just ignore them. Oh, there you go. Just fuck them, man. Fuck whoever tells you that. Even if it's your family. Sorry about that, man. Don't say fuck to your family, but... come on. You're from 1979? Played games since your beloved Specky ZX Spectrum 48. That's crazy. 1979. That's a song by the Smashing Pumpkins. Extremely overrated song. I like it, and I know it on the guitar, but it's one of those songs, right? That are like, oh my god, it's like Creep from Radiohead, or Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana, and anyway, you get the idea. Thank you, Hooflong. Any thoughts on the PS4 version of Re:Zero starting life in another world? I don't know what the hell that is, man. What's that? Sounds like a visual novel. Was that an RPG? I've never heard of that game before. Re:Zero starting life in another world. What the fuck? It's an RPG? Is that a new one? It's an anime. Okay, they were an anime series of novels. PS4. Let's check it out. I didn't know this game existed, man. It's on PS4, yeah. It is an RPG with chibi characters. Okay. Looks interesting, kind of generic, but interesting nonetheless. Well, thank you for bringing that game to my attention, man. I didn't know that game. What if there are JRPGs based on Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, The Matrix, Stranger Things, Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, Despicable Me? Fuck. I think there is a JRPG based on the Lord of the Rings, but I don't know which one. But most of them are Western. It would be interesting, you know. I will play them. Some of them. Couldn't give two fucks about Shrek, though. Or Kung Fu Panda. Or even Stranger Things. The Matrix is kind of like hard to discuss nowadays. Part visual novel, part tactical gameplay. You mean Ray Zero whatever? Okay. Okay. Sounds like Loop 8. Summer of the Gods. You know. The plot. The MC dies over and over again to make different choices. Yeah, it kind of sounds like the plot of Loop 8. But Loop 8 is considered as a bad game. I recently went back to it. But then I got Frontier Hunter, so I'm giving priority to that. But once I'm done with Frontier Hunter, I'll probably go back to Loop 8. And it's a pretty chilling game, you know. But there's barely any RPG going on in there. It's mostly a visual novel. Hey, CB Ross. Thanks a bunch, man. That's awesome. Loop 8 is okay. I don't have a strong opinion on Loop 8 yet. Okay, give me some time and I'll review it in some video. Would you like to see a proper turn-based RPG for Made in Abyss instead of that action RPG one? I haven't even played Made in Abyss. Macross or its Americanized version Robotech? Neither. Not a fan of either. Which version of Valkyrie Profile do you recommend? PS1 or PSP? Either version, you know, they have very small differences. PSP has the cinematics. PS1 has, I don't remember which one is the one with censorship, but the censorship is like really stupid and small. Kind of like the censorship in Tales of Exilia. It's like, why bother? You know, either version is fine, man. I played the Third Age on PS2 a long time ago. It's a good game. Do you like Saint Seiya? I grew up with Saint Seiya. Of course I like Saint Seiya. How soon after beating a game do you play another one? Immediately. Sometimes there's been several occasions where I beat a game in the morning and in the evening I'm already playing a new one. This is, I mean, I have this YouTube channel, man. I gotta constantly keep playing the next game. I don't like rushing them, though. Take my time. I probably should, you know. I probably should rush games just so I can have more and more and more RPGs to talk about in this channel, but I just don't like doing that. I like to take my time, you know. I'm not one of those guys that plays, nothing wrong with this, but I'm not one of those guys that plays like 4, 5, 6 hours a day. Maybe sometimes. But most of the time I just play for a couple of hours, maybe 3. Depends on the game, you know, but I don't like rushing games or speed running them or anything, you know. I take my time, you know. An RPG usually takes me like a week minimum. Depends how long it is, you know. Some of those long RPGs, 2 or 3 freaking weeks. Like Infinite Wealth took me like 3 weeks to finish. And okay, you don't feel any burnout after finishing a long RPG? Not really. What I do feel is like, if I finish a long RPG, it's probably because the RPG was fantastic and I loved it. And I do feel like the emptiness, like, oh my god, my life is over. The game's over, what am I gonna do in my life now? And I do struggle, you know, but I get into another game and eventually forget about it. I've never experienced like JRPG burnout. Like true RPG burn. Like I want to stop playing RPGs for like months. Never. Do you play multiple games at once? Sometimes, but usually it's just one. I focus on that one game. And I don't touch anything else until I beat that game. You know? But every now and then, you know, I gotta do both 2 games at the same time. But it's rare. Are you interested or have you played Megaton Musashi? Not really interested because it's one of those mecha action RPG games and I'm not really into those. I wish it could be like a strategy RPG or something, but action RPGs with mechs, I'm not really. What's your favorite From Software game RPG? Probably Lost Kingdoms. Yeah. Even though Lost Kingdoms is not one of their best, everybody's gonna say like the Souls games, but I'm not a fan of the Souls games. So yeah, Lost Kingdoms or Enchanted Arms. There's also one called Forever Kingdom on the PS2, but I think Lost Kingdoms is a better game. But it's no masterpiece. I can't stream Lost Kingdoms because I don't have a GameCube. And even if I did, I will need an HDMI cable, which is like, I know it's like $20, $30, but it's like $30 plus I'd rather get a Wii U and install a GameCube emulator. Or maybe get a better computer one day and install a Dolphin emulator, to stream GameCube games. How about that? But right now I can't stream any GameCube games. Finishing the Trail series was such a break burner for me. Oh, come on, man. You asked me about one game. But you beat an entire series, and the Trail series no less, in a row. I probably would have gotten burned out as well. Seriously burned out. What's your opinion on Front Mission 3 for the PS1? It's a really good game, but I couldn't get into the little... I just don't... This is like Vagrant Story. I don't like the fact that you get to target specific arms, and the difficulty is based on that. Like if you... Okay, I'm gonna destroy the arm, or the head, or the torso, or something, and you focus on that, and they still kill you. Like trying to figure out which part of the enemy's body you need to destroy first. I don't know, it's just a very complicated game. I like the first one better, which was remade on Switch and PS4 recently, a couple of years ago. And you could just target whatever, and the enemy still die. But in Front Mission 3, they made it harder because of that. And at the end of the day, I just couldn't get into that, But I think it's a really good game, fantastic. The story was badass, roots and endings, Has a lot of personality. It's a good game. I'm fully independent. That's correct. I've been independent since forever. With $1,000, you can have a decent entry PC. Yeah, I've been saving money, for that. I'm probably gonna get a computer next year because this one is on its last stages. I mean, I can tell. I've been struggling a lot editing videos and streaming even. I mean, if you guys were there in my Sima the Enemy stream, the first one, it got fucked up because of a fucking update. Couldn't take it, and it was lagging. So, yeah, I think it's about time. I need a new computer. Next year, probably. Did you already talk about Persona 3 Reload? Yes, I made an entire podcast based on that one game alone. And I covered the game a few times in my videos. A Vinland Saga JRPG will be so sick. It will be fucking sick, man. That's true. I agree with that. Does everyone know about Baroque on the Sega Saturn? It's a first-person game, so I couldn't get into it. I would have preferred the remake on PS2 and Wii, but it fucking sucks. Dude, I experience corruption no matter... I don't have to live in Mexico to experience corruption or insecurity. There's a lot of corruption here on YouTube and Google, man, already. So... Violence, thankfully I haven't. Thankfully. I'm watching from a field near Oxford, UK. What? Really? From a field? That's crazy. Hello, all the way from Mexico. You think they are going to remake Persona 4? Probably. At some point, yes. What battle system would you prefer for a Vinland Saga RPG? Turn-based, of course. Turn-based or strategy. A JRPG set in Mexico? That's a good one. Anyway, I think it's time for the Versus episode. Don't you think? Sorry that I didn't do the tier list video. Maybe next week we'll do another one. Or maybe I'll turn the previous one into a video and see how it does on my channel. I don't think it's gonna do very well, but I don't know. Yeah. First episode, everybody. Today we have two strategy JRPGs that are so unique, revolutionary, extremely influential, people hold these two in a really high standard nowadays. You know, they know that even if you're not a fan of these games, even if you didn't like them, you at least admit that they are extremely important in JRPG history, especially in strategy video games history, okay? And we got Tactics Ogre, any version, any freaking version, okay? Versus Valkyria Chronicles, again, any version. Okay, none of these games have ever been remade. These are just remasters. The versions that I'm holding right now are remasters. Okay, these are on PS4. But if you play the PS3 version of Valkyria or the Steam version or the original Super Famicom version of Tactics Ogre or PSP or PS1, any version, okay, you would like to vote for, it counts. Two extremely influential and beloved strategy JRPGs, and come on, dare I say, two of the best strategy JRPGs of all time. So let's do this. Start the poll. Valkyria Chronicles 1, okay? Not the entire series. Valkyria Chronicles, the first one. I'm gonna have to clarify that. Valkyria Chronicles 1. Tactics Ogre. I put here any version. Okay. Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together. I don't want people voting for the Knight of Lodis on the Game Boy Advance. No one's gonna do that. But anyway, there we go. The poll is up. Valkyria Chronicles 1 versus Tactics Ogre. Let us cling together or Reborn. Any version. Just not the Knight of Lodis. That's a different game. Alright. There we go. I get the feeling Tactics Ogre is gonna win, but fucking hell, Valkyria Chronicles is destroying it. Wow. I mean, you already know I'm gonna choose Valkyria Chronicles, right? I'm a fucking diehard fan of the game. But I don't know, this is shocking me. I was, before I planned this video, I was like, Tactics Ogre is gonna win. We know that, but Valkyria fucking Chronicles? Everybody voting for Valkyria Chronicles. You watched my 10 things you didn't know about Valkyria Chronicles video, didn't you? If you didn't, go and watch it. Or don't even call yourselves a fanboy. Or a fangirl. Are there any girls here? Shin's RPG says, Tactics Ogre for me, just because I'm a sucker for medieval JRPGs. I'm not quite a fan of anything military based. In its gameplay, Tactics Ogre is quite similar with Final Fantasy Tactics. Of course, Final Fantasy Tactics was completely inspired by and influenced by Tactics Ogre, and they have the same developer, Yasumi Matsuno. Hooflong says Valkyria Chronicles wins. This was a game changer. It was everywhere. Even a collectible card game I played back in the day had a crossover and it was glorious. That's not a really good argument. I mean, why would you pick Valkyria Chronicles over Tactics Ogre? I mean, Valkyria wins because it was everywhere? Come on. Make better arguments. That'll make it to the video. Come on. What's this? What are we listening to? Astria Ascending, huh? Cool battle theme. Okay, so Hooflong continues saying the perspective, the mechanics, the characters, they're better in Valkyria 1 than in Tactics Ogre? Kevin says Valkyria Chronicles is visually appealing because it was Sega's answer to writing a World War II story, but with real-time action strategy, and the art style being this cel-shaded sketch style looks amazing. Couldn't agree more. I'm a sucker for cel-shaded graphics. Tactics Ogre has a lot of great waifus. They're just, these really small pixel graphics, I know that, but take a look at the art style of Tactics Ogre, and the girls are like, holy shit. Trust me, in terms of art style, Tactics Ogre has better waifus than Valkyria Chronicles. But Valkyria Chronicles have full 3D models, with modern graphics, And there's the beach episode. Yeah, I get it. And there's an anime based on it. There's no anime based on Tactics Ogre. Brian says I have to go with Valkyria Chronicles as it was totally novel and unique for how it plays and remains fairly unique to this day. That's right, Tactics Ogre was also really unique for its time. Keep that in mind. But a lot of games are like that. Whereas Valkyria Chronicles, it's hard to find games that are like it nowadays. XCOM, maybe? That's the only one I can think of. Exactly, Valkyria has a very distinguishable and innovative battle system, says Jaime. Yum says Valkyria Chronicles is like a turn-based Xenoblade. I love the visuals of the game. It's a third-view turn-based RPG, and the colors look like a watercolor painting. That's the cel-shading graphic style for you, which is beautiful. That's a good argument in favor of Valkyria Chronicles. Gary says, Valkyria Chronicles, I love the battle system and characters and the comic book style cutscenes. That was also it wasn't innovative, it's been done before, but yeah, I mean, there aren't many JRPGs out there told in a comic book style cut. I mean, I love that too, man. If you're gonna pick one game, give a compelling argument. Don't just say, oh, I picked Tactics Ogre because I love it. Come on. Kevin continues saying, Valkyria wins also because of the fact that Sega managed to mix real-time strategy with third-person shooter mechanics. That was freaking genius. It was. It was definitely genius, man. Melfi says, Tactics Ogre Reborn has a dude art style and has pretty challenging gameplay, and it has a good story and decent dialogue. What do you mean? Oh, good. Yeah, I was gonna ask, what do you mean with a dude art style? Okay, good art style. Okay. I don't know, the first thing that came into my mind was the preenies from this guy. Lou says, going to go with Tactics Ogre here for the plot script alone, especially expertly written dialogue, beautiful character design, and such a profound strategy combat system, not for the faint of heart. That's true, it's a really challenging game. Valkyria Chronicles is a really challenging game too, but Tactics Ogre is 10 times more challenging. Oh, okay, Asia. Then you can't make an argument. That's okay. You should play Tactics Ogre, man. It's a really good game. And this version on the PS4 is like the best version of it to play, in my opinion. Give it a chance, man. You can't endorse Tactics Ogre? It looks like a spin-off of Final Fantasy Tactics. Well, that's really... Yum, I don't mean to insult you, but that's kind of dumb to say. Tactics Ogre came way before Final Fantasy. Exactly, Lou. Final Fantasy Tactics was a spin-off. Without Tactics Ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics wouldn't exist. Tactics Ogre came first. That's history, that's a fact. Sorry, Yum, but you're wrong. Objectively wrong. Anyway, Smiling Dog says, for me, Tactics Ogre, it's one of my personal favorites despite of its excruciating difficulty. I fell in love with it due to its excellent OST by Hitoshi Sakimoto, and the story was definitely solid. Well, yeah, but keep in mind that both games have the same composer, Hitoshi Sakimoto. That's a good argument. Sega acquiring Atlus is the smartest thing they've ever done since launching the Mega Drive. Really? You sure about that? In my opinion, there's a lot of ups and downs with Sega acquiring Atlus. I wouldn't be so sure everything was a great idea or a smart thing. I don't know, I wouldn't know. Damn, Valkyria Chronicles still winning, man. I can't believe it. I convinced myself Tactics Ogre was gonna win by a landslide. I don't understand this. Wow. Can't believe it. I guess it's a more popular game. Wow. Come on, guys, more arguments? You still have some time to make your arguments. Just let me check my package. Nothing here. Today's 21, right? It just entered the distribution center, so yeah, it's gonna get here kind of late. I ordered some kind of lightning, some small lightning chip for my Q&As and maybe my regular videos. Maybe I'll start appearing again in my videos. As I just told you, for years I thought the problem was the camera. No fucking way. This is a really good camera on my phone, but the problem is the lightning. The lightning in this room fucking sucks. Mystery Kid says, Tactics Ogre for me, the battle system is way better and more tactical and more complex. The story is deep and interesting. It also has multiple endings, so it has a replayability and more interesting characters. I agree with everything you say, but I don't think it's that complex. I think the Valkyria Chronicles battle system is a bit more complex because it's so unique. There's barely anything like it, but that's just my opinion. You should play the original Tactics Ogre, but I think you should stick with the Reborn version. Yeah, we can all agree Tactics Ogre has maybe more replay value because of the different routes and endings, right? Athis says, Valkyria Chronicles 1 was easy if you burned, rushed, what? Okay, I'll try my best to read what you said. So Athis says, Valkyria Chronicles 1 was easy if you burned, rushed the victory conditions. Tactics Ogre, there really was no easy way to cheese map, so I prefer Tactics Ogre since it needed pardon for the pawn, more tactics. So what you're trying to say is that Tactics Ogre was way more strategic and challenging than Valkyria Chronicles. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Donsk says, both games are solid games on their own. For me, it stands more in the personal tastes. Actually, I agree with that. In my case, Valkyria Chronicles is better, always in gameplay. In story, Tactics Ogre is a bit better. Overall, I like Valkyria more. Okay. Yeah, these videos are always based on personal tastes. Sometimes some people try to be a bit more objective, and you can't, it's just a matter of personal taste. Chronicles is cheaper than Ogre. That's your reason. It is. Ogre is still... Any version is expensive except for this one, but this one hasn't gone down in price that much. Well, Valkyria Chronicles, any version you can buy for like $10. No Face Y'all says, I like both games, but I only finished Tactics Ogre. It was challenging and the story was mature and very well written. I think Tactics Ogre is not that well known because of Final Fantasy Tactics. What I would like to say is that, believe it or not, the story in Valkyria Chronicles is just as mature, but it does have some fan service and some dumb slice of life dialogue here and there to make it a little bit more comedic. But Tactics Ogre doesn't have any of that, so okay, I'll give you that. It is a good versus, but I can't believe Valkyria Chronicles is destroying Tactics Ogre, man. I'm surprised. I just thought I had a crap ton of Tactics Ogre fans. But then again, only 59 votes so far. I mean, if I did this on my community section, the polls would get thousands of votes, probably. But no, I don't want to do that. I want people to join the Q&As every Sunday and vote here. Jaime, proof of the Valkyria Chronicles gameplay being solid is that it made even the second game good, even with that annoying protagonist. Yeah. You have more minutes, a few more minutes. Anything can change, but I doubt it will. I think Valkyria Chronicles is definitely the winner. This is like Tales of Arise versus Star Ocean. Can't believe Valkyria is destroying Tactics Ogre. Which is a great thing for me because I'm picking Valkyria. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot of people to vote. I mean, these are strategy RPGs. It's the least popular subgenre of RPGs. People prefer turn-based or action, and that's what we've been doing since this series started. You know, every single one of them has been turn-based or action. We haven't competed against... We haven't made a single episode of strategy RPG, so it just felt natural to me doing one for today, every now and then, you know. Valkyria is winning maybe because of the more established fandom, probably. The Ogre series is niche. Actually, I don't know, for some reason I thought Tactics Ogre was way more popular nowadays. I guess I was wrong. Is this Dragon Quest? This is Dragon Quest 6 music. Oh, interesting. Are we there to 60 votes yet? Yeah. Maybe a bit more. Players with class. Valkyria Chronicles has no class? I strongly disagree. According to Falcom's president, East will most likely stick to a 2-character party moving forward. That fucking sucks. It's a bad decision. Kevin King says Valkyria Chronicles 1. The fighting systems are innovative and it's different. The graphics are light years better as well. Tactics or has better challenge and replay value because of the different endings. But you still think Valkyria Chronicles is the better game, right? Why is it sad? Valkyria Chronicles is a masterpiece. No one should be sad. I mean, if your favorite game is going to get beaten by an extremely good game... I mean, imagine if this was, I don't know... This Gaia 3 versus Tactics Ogre. This Gaia 3 isn't a bad game, by the way. But it's considered as one of the worst in the series, or this Gaia 6. I mean, I would be bad if that game was destroying Tactics Ogre. I mean, see, it's as if I put Chrono Cross versus, I don't know, a great JRPG out there, you know, I wouldn't mind, you know, I would still be kind of sad to see my favorite game of all time lose, but if a really, really freaking masterpiece will win over, I wouldn't mind, so you shouldn't feel sad, unless you hate Valkyria Chronicles and don't think much of it. Valkyria is more modern than Tactics Ogre. Yes, it is, came out on PS3. It's 14 plus 2, 16 years old, Valkyria Chronicles. Not that modern, but it's kind of modern-ish. Yeah, I get it. Right? This versus was against a mainstream game. So, yeah. My mistake, you know, I just didn't think Tactics Ogre... I thought it was more popular, you know, to be honest. I didn't know Tactics Ogre was still such an underdog. I thought a lot of people held this game in really high regard, you know. I don't know. But anyway, it's just... it is what it is, man. And I thought because of the Final Fantasy Tactics thing, Tactics Ogre will win and will compete better. Well, it's okay, you know. A lot of people are still voting for Tactics Ogre. This Gaia 3 wasn't bad. There is no bad this Gaia game. Triangle Strategy versus Tactics Ogre, I think now that I've seen what happens, I think Triangle Strategy will still win because again it's more popular and it sold millions of copies. So I think it sold over 1 million copies probably. Triangle Strategy will win. I want to put Triangle Strategy versus something else, I just don't know what. But I did consider Triangle Strategy versus Tactics Ogre before, and I was like, no, Triangle is going to destroy it. Whereas I think Valkyria Chronicles, the popularity has decreased a lot, because Sega hasn't done anything with the series in years. In many years. The last thing they did was in 2018. It's been 6 years almost since we heard anything from Valkyria Chronicles. Nothing's been done after that. So I thought for sure, you know, Valkyria Chronicles, the popularity is going down, Tactics Ogre, the popularity is going up because of this remaster that came out less than 2 years ago. So, but you know, I'm not complaining. I think Valkyria Chronicles winning is it's fantastic. You think both games are underappreciated? I think they're very popular, but they could use a little bit more popularity, to be honest. Come on, give me one vote, so we can make it to 65 votes, and then it'll be over. 65 votes, there we go. The poll is over. Valkyria Chronicles won with 66%. Tactics Ogre lost with 34%. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Like I told you, I think Tactics Ogre will win, but I guess I was wrong. I'm so happy my pick won again. Valkyria Chronicles is such a masterpiece. You guys know I'm a super big diehard fan of the game. Watch my 10 things you didn't know about Valkyria Chronicles video, please. I'll leave it at the end. I think it's an amazing game. Tactics Ogre, you gotta consider the fact that while I still like the game, I still loved Reborn. I didn't become a fan of the game until recently, until maybe a year and a half ago when I played it and first and beat it and fell in love with it. And whereas Valkyria Chronicles has been with me for like 15 years, you know, I freaking love the game. I think it's a masterpiece, and I think it's a revolutionary RPG. It influenced a heck of a lot of JRPGs, but Tactics Ogre influenced Final Fantasy Tactics, and Final Fantasy Tactics influenced way more tactical RPGs out there. So, someone was saying that Valkyria Chronicles is the more modern game, and it shows. I mean, we can see the influence of Tactics Ogre in a lot more tactical RPGs out there, whereas Valkyria Chronicles, it's so unique and special that it is influential, but most developers don't dare to create similar gameplay mechanics or similar games inspired by Valkyria Chronicles, you know. It's such a unique game. It inspired XCOM. The XCOM Enemy Within or Enemy Unknown games, you know, were inspired by Valkyria Chronicles. But yeah, Tactics Ogre is just more influential. But still, Valkyria Chronicles while it's still very challenging, it's just more friendly, easier to get into. You don't have to deal with a lot of jobs and awkward job changes that you know. I mean, you gotta practice a lot when it comes to Tactics Ogre to really understand the depth of the job system and to understand what's good and what's not. And Valkyria Chronicles makes that a little bit easier. You don't have a job system, but you do have a class system. And you also need to figure out which classes are better against this or that type of enemy, or which class is better in these types of situation. And in my opinion, that adds, well, I can't say one has more strategic value than the other, okay? That's not what I'm trying to say. But I like that strategy approach, or the tactical approach of Valkyria Chronicles much more than the one in Tactics Ogre. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I like the battle mechanics and the gameplay mechanics way more in Valkyria Chronicles than in Tactics Ogre. It's just a matter of personal taste, and it's just more fun, more dynamic, while Tactics Ogre is nowadays. Back then it was very influential. It was a game of its kind, unique, but nowadays, you know, it's been done to death. The formula has been done to death. So unless you play Tactics Ogre many years ago, Valkyria Chronicles is just more unique, and in my opinion, it's just more fun to play. There's more variety in gameplay mechanics, in characters, you know, there's just more development in there. And also that, you know, in terms of character development, we do see a lot of development in Tactics Ogre, but most of your party members, just like in Valkyria Chronicles actually, are generic characters that never say a word, you know, but there's just more character development, even for these generic characters in Valkyria Chronicles. What with the DLC, you know, what with some of the things they say, the personalities, skills they got, you know, there's more development, you know, they were better characterized in Valkyria Chronicles than in Tactics Ogre. That's what I'm trying to say. Graphics, well, the graphics in the original Tactics Ogre look great, but if we compare the Reborn version with the remastered version of Valkyria Chronicles, or any version of Valkyria Chronicles really, you can't, I mean, just the cel-shaded graphics is just freaking beautiful, and I'm such a fanboy of that style. I think it's one of my favorite artistic styles in video games, up there with HD 2D, you know, cel-shaded graphics, I'm a sucker for that, you know. So the graphics in Tactics Ogre Reborn look great, you know, but I don't know, man. I think Valkyria Chronicles puts it to shame, but I think it's an unfair comparison in terms of graphics because they're just so different, and there was more money and more budget in Valkyria Chronicles than in Tactics Ogre back in the day. The music is done by Hitoshi Sakimoto in both games, so it's equally good. To be honest, I don't have a preference here. I may pick Valkyria Chronicles just because I played it more times, and therefore, as a result, the themes are more memorable for me. But it's Hitoshi Sakimoto. It sounds the same. The themes are like similar. The music is kind of similar. You know, I can't pick a winner here. And finally, the story. I say the story for last because I think it's the only thing in which Tactics Ogre might be better than Valkyria Chronicles. But Valkyria, I mean, damn, it's just Let me think what to say about the story. I mean, we got in Valkyria Chronicles, we got this story that's more based on the World War II that happened in real life, but it's also its own thing, self-contained story, and it does include some comedy and some fan service and blah blah blah. But again, you know, the main focus of the story is the characters and their development and the situations they go through and how they feel about the war. I guess it's a little bit more light-hearted than a Tactics Ogre one. The Tactics Ogre story is darker, more mature, and I'm a sucker for that, so I gotta give preference to it. But I think the story in Valkyria Chronicles is a bit more memorable because it grows on you, the characters grow easily on you, and I just didn't, maybe you did, but I didn't get that attached to most of the characters in Tactics Ogre. Even some of the main characters, I didn't get too attached to them, and I got attached to almost every character in Valkyria Chronicles. So the story is more mature, more political, you know, more complex, more deeper. You know, in Tactics Ogre, I'll give you that, but I still prefer the story in Valkyria Chronicles because it's almost just as deep, almost just as complex, almost just as mature and political, and it's just more appealing to me. There's just an element in the storytelling, in the narrative in Valkyria Chronicles that I like more. That's it. So, of course, Valkyria Chronicles 1 is the better game, in my opinion, of course. Sorry for everybody who voted for Tactics Ogre. It's a fantastic game, but it just isn't there quite yet. Valkyria Chronicles still the better game. Yeah! My pick won again. Thanks for watching, everybody. Do you game retro on CRT or is it all modernized? I think it's all modernized. Anyway, both are winners. Both are winners. Yeah, both are must-play JRPGs. If you haven't played them, or if you haven't played either, or just one, play the other. You know, very recommended games. That's it for the Q&A, everybody. Thank you so much for participating. We'll see if the next one will do another one of those tier list episodes, maybe. Haven't decided if I want to continue doing that. You know, it was a blast last time, so maybe we should have done one. I kind of regret it, but there's always next time. And like I always say, see you next time. Have a great weekend, everybody.